Both of y'all. Y'all both sound dumb as
No, we don't.
You pick your child over your spouse every single time.
If there's a plate of food,
bro, if both of them are hanging off the side of a cliff, I'm picking my child before I pick up my spouse every single time.
Who comes first? Is it your spouse or your child? You guys, that is the conversation we're having in today's video, because there was a podcast, yeah, and two men were kind of giving their own point of view on who comes first in the relationship. One of them was like, I will pick my son over any spouse. I'll pick my child over any spouse. While the other one was like, I will pick my spouse over any child. Let me show you the clip.
Both of y'all. Y'all both sound dumb as
no, we don't.
You pick your child over your spouse every single time.
If there's a plate of food,
bro, if both of them are hanging off the side of a cliff, I'm picking my child before I pick up my spouse every single time.
I'm not doing that.
I'm picking my okay.
I'm not doing that.
All right, next topic. No, because I'm starting to get annoyed.
But okay, but you're talking. Okay, the thing is, you're looking from a personal aspect of you have your son solo. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You're not going to see my perspective because you're not married. And you've never been married.
Neither have you.
I haven't, but guess what? I don't have a child either. And because of that, my mindset is okay with saying I could choose my spouse first before my kid. You only have a son. You don't have a spouse. If you were married to your baby mother before having a child and you built that relationship in that core, you wouldn't think the same way. You think the same way because your son is all you have.
That's all I need.
Right. But if you were married and with a woman, you wouldn't think that way. You think that's my best friend. I don't want to lose my best friend over anything. You can make another child. You can make another baby.
You pick your child before your spouse, bro.
No, you don't. You picked the person that you said before God that's the one I want to be for the rest of my life. Life, death do us part, in sickness and in health. You didn't make that commitment with your child. You committed to feed your child.
I'm telling you right now, I hear what you're saying.
You're not.
I do hear what you're saying because you are. Don't get me wrong.
Ask the comments.
I hear what you're saying. 100%. I hear what you're saying. However, I'm still picking my child every single time.
But that's the issue that we're having with the world right now.
Because a lot of times, let me be honest. A lot of times, Phil, this is not a shot at your marriage either. A lot of times, a lot of people's marriages are conditional love.
Right, and
my child is unconditional love no matter what.
Right.
So I'm picking my child every time over another person.
When your child hits 13 and they're grown, there will be conditions. The
only time I'm not picking my child is if he does something out of pocket, like kill somebody.
There's parents who still will pick their children when they do stuff like that. They're gonna love them no matter what. They do. That don't mean about the kids. Kids will sometimes be like, my dad was this, my mom was this, and I'm leaving home and I'm never coming back.
But you just said something that agrees with my point. Some parents still pick their child even when their child do crazy ass. They're not picking their spouse if their spouse does crazy ass.
So who is coming first? Child or your spouse? Who is coming first in your life? Let us know that in the comment section. I have interesting take on this video. So let's watch these videos together and I'll see you at the end of the video.
So both of y'all both sound dumb as
No, we don't.
You pick your child over your spouse every single time.
If there's a plate of food,
bro, if both of them are hanging off the side of a cliff, I'm picking my child before I pick up my spouse every single time.
I'm not doing that.
I've made plenty of videos of this on the past about spouses and children and who comes first and stuff like that. My argument is always in favor of choosing the spouse first, but not in a situation like this. Not in a life or death situation. This is completely different than who gets their plate first. You know what I mean? No. Life or death situation, my wife better choose the kids before she chooses me. I'm definitely choosing my children before I choose my wife when it comes to who I would save. I'm saving my kids. You know? I'm saving my kids. This, like I said, this isn't who gets a plate first. You know, that argument I said, feed your spouse first. Go give your spouse the plate first. You know what I mean? That's just a small way of showing your love and appreciation for your spouse. But at the end of the day, everybody eats. Everybody's happy. This other situation, somebody's not going to be there anymore. And if it comes down to me or my kids or my spouse and our kids, I want my kids to live on. We can go. You choose your kids in this situation.
Hey, y'all, real quick. I saw a TikTok of some guys on a podcast having a conversation about whether or not you should put your children first or your spouse first. And I guess they were like likening it to that scenario that people always bring up, like if it's a burning building, like if your house is burning down, like who are you gonna save first, your wife or your children, or if like your wife or your children is both hanging off a cliff, who are you gonna save, your wife or your child? And I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, but me personally as a woman, I think it's so weird how many people, especially women, are in the comments saying like, yes, you're supposed to save your spouse first, you can make another kid, da 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 da, and how they were like judging the guy who was saying he would save his kid every time, he puts his kid first every time, and they were saying like that's because you don't have a wife and you're not married. I'm sorry, are y'all cool? Like, if like say it is that scenario, a burning building, I would never think to save my husband before I go to save my child. Are y'all stupid? Like a fully able-bodied, capable adult, you think I'm saving them off a cliff before I save a vulnerable child hanging off a cliff? Talking about you can make another child. I don't even want kids, but that's a crazy take. I'm sorry. Like, are y'all cool? In what reality do y'all live in where you put a adult's safety over a child's safety? That is crazy to me.
My child is unconditional love no matter what.
Right.
So I'm picking my child every time over another.
You know how rare it is to find a conversation between two people in which both of them are wrong and right at the same time? I'm going to start off by saying that unconditional love does not exist. The only unconditional love that exists is God. God loves us unconditionally. We are his children. Now, even if you're a parent, and I'm a parent, I'm a father, unconditional love does not exist. Because if one of my children grows up and ends up doing something incredibly horrible to another human being, no, I'm gonna tell you right now, not only do I feel like I failed as a father because I did not raise my child properly, therefore my child ended up doing something horrible to someone, but why am I going to love a human being that has free will given to us by God, made the choice to do something horrible to someone, and then still say, oh, I still love you? No, you just ruined someone else's life. You just ended one of God's children. Like, no, there's no such thing as unconditional love. So I'm sorry if you're one of those people that think, oh, well, I love my children unconditionally. So you are doing them a disservice, especially if you tell them that you love them unconditionally. Because they're going to grow up thinking that they can do whatever they want and can in this world without any repercussions, because they're going to continue to receive their parents' love. Now, to move on to the topic which they were talking about, which, by the way, I highly encourage you to go watch that video. They were talking about choosing your partner over your child or vice versa. Now, obviously, it's situational. It's incredibly situational, depending on what happens when. You need to know what choice to make. But they were putting the situation on even playing fields between the partner and the child. Wrong. That's a recipe for a lose-lose scenario. The way that I like to define it and be able to divide it, depending, again, on the situation, my partner, what I have with my partner is a choice and a promise. I make the choice every single day when I wake up to love, respect, be with my partner. That is my choice. And I made my partner a promise that I will do X, Y, and Z with him or her. And again, I choose to do those things. That's a choice and a promise a mutual promise that we make if we were to be, married. A child is not a choice nor a promise. A child is a duty and a responsibility. You made a choice at a certain moment in time in your relationship to be intimate with your partner. Therefore, you ended up with a child, and now that child is your duty and your responsibility. Now, what are these duties and responsibilities that I speak of? I mentioned them a long time ago in a very old video that I made, one of my first videos actually. The duties and responsibilities of a parent to their child is to protect, provide, and teach. You protect your child, you provide for your child, and you teach your child. Those are the three things that you have to do for your child. Protect, provide, and teach. Again, depending on the scenario, it's situational. Depending on the scenario that you're put in. Personally, for me, usually, I will choose my partner. I don't know, 7 out of 10 times I will choose my partner, depending on the scenario. But if it's a scenario in which my responsibility and my duty are to be at fault or were to fail towards my child, then no, I need to choose my child. And the extreme scenario that they gave as an example, in which, oh, your partner and your child are at the edge of a cliff, they're about to fall, who do you save? I save my child. And it is my responsibility and my duty to protect my child. I will protect my child. And in that scenario, if it were reversed, and let's say that I'm hanging on at the edge of the cliff, and my child is next to me hanging at the edge of the cliff, and my partner is the one that has to make the choice, I'm making the choice for my partner, and I'm letting go. And I'm hoping that my partner makes the right choice and saves our child, because that child is our duty and responsibility. I think one of the best examples that I can give here in which it can go either way is that infamous question that apparently for some time women were asking on TikTok is, your husband gets home, your partner gets home, whose plate of food do you serve first? Your partner's or your children? I said it and I answered, it all depends on the scenario. As a father, if you're the breadwinner, because it also applies to the woman, the mother, if she's the breadwinner. If there are no financial struggles, if there's enough food for everybody and there are no financial struggles, the first plate of food should go to the partner, to the breadwinner. The children will learn discipline and they will learn respect. They will learn to appreciate the sacrifices made by the person that wakes up and goes to work and sacrifices their time and energy away from the family to provide for the family. Now, if there are financial struggles and there's not enough food for everybody, the children get their food first. Again, because it's the parent's duty and responsibility. So yeah, it's situational. All these things are situational. It all depends on the person and how you're raised, on the culture, obviously. But in the way that I was raised and the culture that I was raised in, my partner comes first. Goes God, my partner, and our children. That's how it goes. As long as, again, the situation does not require the death of one of our children. No, my children are my duty and responsibility, and in a scenario in which their life is going to be affected, their lives come first.
What's up, y'all? So I'm Trey. I'm one of the co-hosts of Foops and Flapjacks. Here's the thing, right? Situation is super, whenever we talk about this, we bring up the cliff and whoever, it's super over-exaggerated, right? Here's the thing that I want people to understand, and even you to understand. When I say you put your wife first, to me, that means my love, my affection, who I continue to build, grow, get to know is my wife first. I believe that if you show your kids how to take care of your significant other and how to love, when they get older and they have a spouse or a relationship, they know how to do the same thing. It does not mean you neglect your kids. It does not mean you don't feed your kids. It don't mean you don't take them to practice. It don't mean you don't talk to them. It don't mean you don't engage with them and see how they're feeling and see how they're developing. But it does mean that my wife comes first. When I come home, I initiate love with my wife. I kiss, hug my wife first. I check on my wife first and check on my kids next. I think a lot of people think it's about neglect of the kids, and that's not where I'm coming from. Neglecting the kids is not the case, but after them kids hit 18 and they go to college and they get married,
Exactly. Yes.
they're not thinking about you as much. And they're going to choose their spouse and choose the person they're going to be with. And after them 18 years, what did you do to continue to get to know and date your significant other who has grown over those 18 years? They're not the same person. Did you date them? Did you take care? Those are the things that people don't think about. And so people prioritize kids so much, and they don't prioritize the person that they said vows to, who they got married to, who they said, I want to be a partner for life. Your kid is not your partner for life. That is where the issue is with all relationships. I'm seeing people in the comments talk about you can just get another spouse. And that was never what marriage was for. That's how people are treating relationships. Like, I throw this one away, get another one. I throw this one. That's not how it is. It's the same thing for kids too. Like, you can make more kids, and I feel like, it's weird to say like I can just let that kid pass away and make more, but essentially you can. Um, but the whole idea of the fact that you can just throw a spouse away, you can go and make promises and vows, and then say, "Well, I can just get another spouse and make prom." It shows a lot about character and your morality. Your character tells me that you can't stand on your words. You can't stand 10 toes. Because what's the point? And I'm speaking from a Christian standpoint. What's the point in going to a church, going up to God, the Creator, and saying, I'm going to do this for my person, this for my person, and right for my person, and then just be able to throw them away? Like, we don't take relationships seriously anymore. And that's the problem. And so I'm seeing people in the comments say stuff like that. And I'm just like, yeah, the situation is over exaggerated. But on a more like everyday type situation, like on an everyday sense, you go to work, she goes to work, kids are at school, you come home, your wife comes first. Your significant other comes first. You check on their well being. The better you two are together, the better you can take care of the kids. And that's just how I see it. If y'all don't see it that way, cool. Cool. But what I'm telling you is if you neglect a relationship, you put them kids first in every situation, you will lose your spouse and you will be alone. People keep thinking that someone said, I just find out. You think it's that easy to get married? You think quality people is that is that easy to find? Come on now.
Who is coming first? Is it the spouse or the child? Who comes first in your life? Is it your husband or your child? I personally feel like it depends on the situation. It's just like the video we've had that the woman was like, who comes first, your sister or your husband? Now it's now your child or your husband. Who comes first? Your wife or your child or your daughter or your son? Who comes first in your life? It depends on that situation. If you're talking about life and death situation, we're talking about what you're going to save when there's difficult things. So maybe there's fire outbreak, there's flood, there's one of them needs help. It is always the child. This one is non-negotiable. It is always the child. You have to save the child. You have to pick the child first over anybody. In fact, most of the time, you will pick the child before you pick yourself. In as much as you would love your child so much as a parent, you will really love your child so much. That one does not mean that because you now have a child, you forget that you were married or you once were in love with somebody before you had that child. There's some situation whereby you still have to pick your spouse over your child when it comes to some emotions. This is not life and death situation. If it's life and death situation, most of the time you pick your child. But if it's life and death situation that your woman is pregnant and she's in labor, you have to pick your wife. The thing is that most men pick their child, the baby, than the mother or something. But I feel like the right thing for you to do is to pick your wife. But when it comes to some emotional availability, you have to pick your spouse because you have a child does not mean that you neglect your spouse and not pay attention to them emotionally or be with them emotionally and all of that because you want to just love only your child. So whoever is there does not you don't care. You have to be able to balance it. And I feel like if you're in a relationship with a man or if you're married and all of that, you have to these things like there's balance in all things. It's like you saying, how can you love three children at once? It's possible. You will love your three children at once. You can love your four children at once. You will love your two kids. You will just know that you love them so much, and you also love your husband, or you love your friend. You love, like, you can love. Everything has balance. Everything has their space, their place. I feel like in life, everybody have their place in your heart. So you yourself, deep down, you know who has this big, big love. You know the kind of love you have for your spouse. You know the kind of love you have for your child. There are different kind of love. I feel like when it comes to choosing them on some difficult situation, most of the time the child always comes first. The child always comes first. It also depends on the relationship you have with your spouse. Some people are just, married and things are not going well with them. They'll always want to pick their child over their spouse. Of course. It also depends on the relationship you have with your child too. Some of the time, some of these people are not with their child. They are single parents, and the other one is not with the child, and you have a spouse, you pick your spouse over, like, I just feel like there are different circumstances, and it's not, so me, I don't know, it depends on the circumstances and the situation that is going on, determine the person that you're supposed to pick. But my own is that if it comes to life and death situation, you're trying to save somebody and leave somebody, most of the time it has to be your child. My own opinion, guys. What is your take on this video? Let me know your thought about this video down in the comment section. Respectfully, as always, Sugar Mary David, and thank you so much for tuning in today's video. I hope you enjoyed this one. Please like and share and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one, guys.